Making cinematic AI shots is now easier than ever, because with NanoMilena Pro you can make any type of image with crazy sharp details. I used for storyboarding, concepting, and also generating all of my reference images. Now for video I'm using Kling AI, because they've released so many great features that I can't live without it. It has audio, it can automatically relight your videos, and it even has motion transfer. But the main question is, how do I combine all of these features into my workflow? Well, let me show you. First, we need to find a tool that has both Kling AI and Nano Banana both combined under one subscription. Now for this, I'm using Artlist. They were also kind enough to sponsor this video and invite me over to New York to test out their new and improved AI toolkit. They've showed me all kind of crazy features that they're gonna be releasing this year, and I'm very excited for that. So if you wanna check them out, I will leave a link in the description down below where you can try out Artlist and use it for your own AI tools. Before we start generating any type of video, the first thing we need to do is generating ultra realistic images. And this is the part that often gets overlooked. So let me give you a few tips on how you can make ultra realistic images. So for tip number one, as stupid as it sounds, my tip would be add in more details into your prompt. Because if you're making a simple prompt like this, you're getting a simple result. You want to give the AI no room for speculation. So you want to exactly give instructions of what you want to see. Now, if I were to redo this, then I would do it as follows. So we're already explaining what the image is looking like. So it's gritty, it has flash lit, and it is a night photo, and it's also taken on an iPhone. If you don't want that iPhone look, you can also do a professional camera, like let's say an IMAX camera. We're saying the location, then we're saying captured like a raw paparazzi. In the foreground, we have a 26-year-old blonde woman. She is seated facing the camera with realistic skin textures. So we're adding in skin texture here. She does a peace sign with one hand and winks, smiling widely. In her other hand, she's holding a half-eaten bag of Lay's classic potato chips. She's wearing casual streetwear. If you want to be even more specific, you could add in specific brands in here. Now behind there is a fire truck covered in layered graffiti, and it is parked at the gas station as if refueling. It has slight grain, imperfect frame, and it has candid realism. Then you want to select the aspect ratio of your image. I'm going by 16:9. And then for the quality, I'm going with 4K. Now we hit generate. So here's our image, and as we see, we have more natural skin texture. She is wearing streetwear, like we even have a real brand over here. Then we have the Lay's potato chip bag, has the flash there, it has the fire truck in the background, and we are at a gas station. It even added in that 7-Eleven gas station look to it, while I didn't even prompt that. There you go. If we compare the images side by side, and I know this is lame, but most people just don't add in the details. They just say like, give me an image of a girl like you see over here on the left side. But if you look on the right side, adding in those details makes a huge difference in your output. For tip number 2, to create better images, you want to be using reference images. And this is hugely underrated, because if you already have an image or a type of result that you want to recreate, then use that reference image. It will make a huge difference across all of your scenes. Let me just show you this. Okay, so for this example, I found this image and I love the pose. I want to change this. I want to use this as inspiration. So here's my idea. What I did is I uploaded the image from my computer. So let me just select this. Then I uploaded a reference image of me. So I have this reference image of me. And now we have both these images attached in Nano Banana. Then if we use my previous tip, which is adding in more details, then we have this prompt. A flashlight photo taken by an iPhone of the man in the blue jacket is laying on a wooden floor, posing exactly as the reference image, with a lit smoking cigarette in between his lips with unrealistic skin textures. All around him on the floor is tech-related stuff like headphones, the back of an iPhone, an iPad, a MacBook, all of that stuff. So that is adding in more details and making it a bit more custom. Then I'm saying composition and frame is just like the reference. Now we're gonna hit send, and that will give us a result like this. You see how using that reference saved me a whole lot of custom prompting by just getting the exact pose that I already wanted to have. It changed up a few things, but honestly, in terms of how realistic this looks, it is really, really good. We can do this exact same thing, but with changing up the lighting. So for example, here I took this image and this other image as inspiration, and I tried to combine like the lighting effect of one and the colors of the other into one image of me. And this is the result. Now the next tip is your output is as good as your input. If your image reference is low quality, if there's no sharp details on your face, on your character, or things are vague in general, then the outcome might not be that great. The same saying goes for selecting the output of your images. For example, if you have the choice to choose between 1K or 4K, I would choose 4K because you have much higher details. Like, take a look at the difference of this. If I generated 1K versus 4K, one with 1K is much less sharp than the one with 4K. So get the highest possible output, and that goes for both your input images and also for the settings before you start generating. Okay, so now that I've covered these 3 tips on how to kind of like learn the basics on image generation, let's now discuss image editing and upscaling, because this can make a huge difference for your image and video outputs. Okay, starting up with upscaling. I just generated this image of this like hero facing off a titan. And what we can do is if we press upscale, then it comes up and it automatically upscales our image. But that's not the only way we could upscale our image. If you download this image and then you use it as a reference, so we upload it again, then we can ask Nano Banana, like I did right here, to upscale this image. And this is basically prompting it to make it sharper, to adding more details, to add in anything that you want. You can call this upscaling, or you can call this a bit of image editing. In my opinion, it's a bit of both. But no one is really using this, so make use of this. If you have a low quality image, just put it in Nano Banana and ask it to add in some details while keeping the same position and the same exact feeling of the image. So that's what I did right here. The other thing we can do is image editing, and it is using a prompt to make your character into a specific pose without changing much of the original image. So what I have right here is this image of me sitting behind a wall. And let's say I want to change this into John Wick shooting at me while I'm sitting there behind the wall. Then I'm adding in my prompt and I'm going to ask it to edit the image into a cinematic, realistic movie scene where he's seated against a wall, holding a pistol at the right side of the frame, sweat dripping from the temple with a realistic skin textures. Basically, I'm adding in all the details that I want to have in there. So I'm saying on the left side, John Wick fires at him from down the corridor. It's basically using your imagination to describe what you want to have happen in this pose. And right now, as you see, I'm using an AI generated image of me, but this can very well be done with a real image of you. Important thing to notice is I'm adding in a few details about what I want to have happen, how the shot looks like, and even what it is shot on. So this time I'm going for an Arri Alexa, and I'm even describing the lens and the focal length of it. Then we hit send, and then that generates something like this. It is inspired from our reference image. We have the sweat dropping down my face, we have consistency in my outfit and in my pose, and then we have John Wick over there, and it all looks pretty cinematic to me. Okay, last one, very important, camera angles. Now, I use this all the time for storyboarding. Without imagining every shot yourself, you can ask Nano Banana to generate different shots, different camera angles, and it will come up with different angles that you might not have thinking about. This is a totally different way of how you can prompt your image. And I will give you the prompt in my school community, so make sure to join that. I will leave all the prompts that I used for this video down below there. So I got this image right here, and I don't know what the next shot is gonna be yet. So what I did is I uploaded this image as a reference. Then I added in this prompt where I ask it to create like 9 different images with different camera angles and also a label for each one. Now, this is the outcome, and keep in mind I will give you the prompt in the school community. You can join it for free, so don't worry, you can copy it over there. All of these different shots were just generated from that scene, and that gives me more ideas of like the coin flip. For example, the frame 1, I loved that one. I love that the idea of it. So what I can do now is I'm gonna use this whole image as a reference, and then I'm gonna say extract frame 1 and upscale it, maintaining cinematic and realistic details. And now we have this upscaled version of that first frame. And you can do that for each and every frame that you'd like. Besides knowing how to generate realistic looking images, understanding how you should prompt when it comes to video is very important too. So let me explain how I use all the different features of Kling AI for my videos. First up, we have text to video. Honestly, I don't use this that often because I want to have a specific start frame that we're using throughout the video. And it's also much cheaper to do because you don't leave it up to the AI to speculate about the outcome. With image referencing, so that means image to video, you have much more control over all of these specific outcomes. But that being said, let me just show you how you can use text to video real quick so you have a good understanding of how you can prompt it to still have decent results. So first you want to select Kling 2.6 Pro. Now that you've selected Kling 2.6, make sure you select 16:9. Then you can switch between the duration. For this example, I'm doing 10 seconds because I have quite a long scene in mind. Then I want to turn on audio because Kling AI has good audio. Then you can select the resolution. You only have the choice of 1080p. And you can even add in a negative prompt. So that means something that you don't want to have seen happening in your video. And you can have the guidance scale of how close it will follow your prompt. I'm just going to leave this at 50% and I'm not going to use a negative prompt. We're starting off by describing the type of camera shot and movement that we want to have happening. I'm starting off with a POV shot from a first person perspective. No visible character. Character is sprinting down a hallway. Then we have handheld camera shake, heavy breathing, the door is flung open and it floods into flame with blinding light. Camera stumbles forward and stops at a high vantage point, revealing a vast city below. So I'm basically describing step by step what I want to have happening in that video. We have skyscrapers burning, alien spacecrafts that are dominating the sky with missiles, explosions, all of that. And then in the end, I'm just adding in cinematic chaos, realistic scale, fast motion, and dramatic lighting. Once you're done with this, you click on send. And I've generated this a couple of times, but that gave me this result. And I love how dramatic it is in the beginning, like the heavy breathing, the chaos, and then it opens up the door and it's like, damn, everything is on fire. Okay, let's move on to image to video because this is far more interesting. We're not gambling with what we're gonna generate. We have more control over the exact outcome. So image to video, we're gonna use this for better consistency because you can keep all of your character consistent because you have generated them using Nano Banana with consistency all across the scenes because you're using references. And we have more control over what we wanna do with each scene. Now there are two different methods. We have start frame only and we have start and end frame. Now start frame only, I use that if I don't have a specific ending in mind. If you do have a specific spot in mind, then you're using start and end frame. But let's first start with the start frame. So I have this image that we're gonna use as a start frame. And now it all comes down to prompting because we only are giving it our start frame and then you can just basically describing what you want to have happen. Now there are 4 things to keep in mind when prompting. We have the camera and framing, we have the primary motion, we have the secondary motion, and we have the details. So to explain what each of those are, let me give you an example. We're starting off with camera and framing. For that, we're using slow, steady camera push-in. Now that is describing what we're doing with the camera. Then we're going with the primary motion, which is the astronaut gently and realistically drifts forward in 0 gravity. So that is the main primary motion that we're describing first. Then the secondary motion is Earth is slowly rolling beneath him, subtle cloud movement. So that is describing what's going on with the scene. And then we are adding in some extra details, which are realistic space physics, deep sense of skill, high budget sci-fi film feel, calm and peaceful with wonder. So I'm just describing the look and the feel with some extra details in the end of this. It's not rocket science, it might seem complicated, but that's what would help you to write a better prompt, to categorize these things into a kind of like a checkbox. Like if you check off each of those things, then you have written a good prompt. You could also use ChatGPT for this to help you with it, but you should describe clear boundaries as to what it should follow in terms of generating your prompts. So if we animate this, then we get this result. Here we have one more example of a different start frame, and this is the prompt that we're going to use. So for the camera framing, we're saying tight close-up with an extremely slow cinematic push-in. Then for the primary motion, we're going to say the astronaut's eyes slowly widen with quiet awe as she stares at Earth from space. Then for the secondary motion, we're going to say a slow smile spread across her face. And then we're adding in some details with a shallow depth of field, realistic space lighting, calm sci-fi film tone, high budget cinematic realism. By typing that in, it gave us this. And honestly, I like it a lot. If you want to have even more control over the output of your videos, then you want to be using start and end frame, because basically you're giving a reference of this is what the frame should look like in the beginning and this is what it should look like at the ending, and then you're describing what happens in between with your prompts. To give you an idea of how I'm using this, let me give you an example. For the start frame, we're using this image right here. It's the image of a guy that's about to flip a coin. And if I were to just use the start frame without using the end frame, then the result will look something like this. Now that's not the result I had in mind, so if I want to have the specific result that I had in mind, then I'm using an end frame. So what I did is I have this end frame right here, and now I can use this as a start frame and then this image as an end frame, and then if I add in this prompt and I generate it, then I get this result. You see, I have way more control over the outcome of this video. By the way, for start and end frame, using Kling AI works wonders for some reason. So I'm just using Kling AI for those type of shots. But Kling 2.6 also still works really good. So there you have it. This is how I use NanoMilena Pro and Kling in my workflow for my videos. Now I've shown you how to do this with Artlist, and if you want to try this out yourself, then click the link in the description down below. Make sure to join my free school community to see all of the prompts that I'm using, especially for this video, and also click the video that's on the screen right now if you want to learn more about how you can use AI for AI filmmaking and making cinematic looking videos.